These are, of course, affordable housing built in the 1970s, and of course, because they were affordable housing units, no one gave a fuck about putting adequate safety measures in the affordable housing units. This happens all the time. It was a faulty space heater that lit on fire, and while the rest of the structural integrity was still in place, a lot of people didn't know what to do in this circumstance. There were no fire alarms. Fire alarms would actually go off inappropriately at times in the projects here. And not only that, but it's like major like immigrant community. I think it was like a big West African community that lived there. And also on top of that, there's no adequate heat, which is the reason why people were using space heaters. And then people actually were dying from asphyxiation, not necessarily the fire itself, because people were opening their doors and it didn't know how to respond to it. A lot of the people that survived actually survived by staying indoors and closing their doors. I was there working, not 19, 17, 8 children, the rest are adults, 66 injured. Okay. I mean, this happened in Grenfell as well, if you guys remember, for a different reason. But, I mean, this happens in affordable housing units and in... yeah. The main cause of the death is smoke. It's because the fire department left the door open. Yeah. 19 people died because of inadequate heat in a building with 174 violations owned by a member of Adam's transition team. Oh, that's the other thing. Yeah. One of the fucking people that owns this apartment is on Adams's transition team as well. And his message is to blame the individuals who should have closed the door.
And if we take one message from this that Commissioner Nigro has mentioned several times, close the door. Close the door. That was embedded in my head as a child watching the commercials over and over again. We're going to double down on that message. My conversation with the Chancellor this morning, we're going to send out communications to all of our schools and state that we want our children to receive the same level of reinforcement. Muscle memory is everything. And if we can drill that in, we can save lives by closing the doors, not only in the city, but across the entire globe. This painful moment can turn into a purposeful moment as we send the right message of something simple as closing the door. And
yeah, that's what it was. That's the reason. That's the only reason why it happened. Really, really do not like Bill de Blasio, but what Eric Adams has done in the past 10 days, starting with the New Year's Eve super spreader to hiring his brother for a 6-figure NYPD job, they're refusing to do anything to stop the spread in schools. So this is just another level. It's just starting. Yeah.
1 year badge, Hasan. I can't believe how time flies. Happy 1 year.
What's your job then? You know, you're the mayor. What's the job of the government? And yes, the dude, yeah, I know. The dude that is like one of the landlords, here's the ownership of the building. The man listed as landlord, Rick Gropper, is on New York City Mayor's transition team for housing. And a contributor, of course, to his campaign. Reliant is associated with 123 other buildings in New York City. Most of them are in low-income neighborhoods. If you've ever been to the tenants meetings in low-income black and brown neighborhoods, you know that one of the most frequent complaints is low or no heat, often coupled with broken windows. The investors who own these properties lavish thousands of dollars on politicians instead of on repairs. Okay. The amazing inspectors at New York City Housing do an incredible job of following up on these complaints, by the way, but it's a never-ending battle. For slumlords, paying fines and buying politicians is almost always cheaper than doing the actual repairs. And oftentimes, the way capitalism operates, the difference there is not even that significant. It's a marginal difference. It's basically giving money to the politicians and those who would normally enforce the compliance rather than... You're good? Okay, perfect. Rather than the actual fucking repairs itself. It's like marginally cheaper, but ultimately it pays back in dividends because you develop a long-standing allegiance with these people. How are New York City mayors continuously bad? Of course they're bad, as I've said before, during the mayoral election cycle. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? The New York City mayoral position is basically a person who who looks to have a lot of influence, but is simply just shifting over priorities and trying to is basically a talking head for the Wall Street interests and real estate developers for the most part. That's it. That's all they do. Anyway, baba ne oldu? Evet. Tamam. Evet, dışarı çıktılar. Ama herhalde geri gelecekler birazdan. Okay. Bilmiyorum. And also the police union as well, of course, before I forget. How could I forget that part? Hiçbir şey konuşmadım. Bizim baba şu anda yapamam baba. Bilmiyorum yani. Küveti yapacaklarsa küveti yapacaklar. Bir bakmamız lazım dediler. Girip bak dedim. Teşekkür ederim. Okay. Sorry. I just have like okay. Sure, cops save lives. So do housing inspectors. Imagine if we had, okay, I don't know about that. Imagine if we had as many housing inspectors as cops. Imagine if politicians cared about renters. As they do about these people. To hell with landlords. To hell with real estate investors. Okay. Okay, so let's get back to the story at hand, though. So.
But blinded by smoke, Sanchez Guillermo said he and his 26-year-old son called family to say they didn't think they would make it out alive.
You felt like you couldn't try to take the stairs down.
There's no way to succeed. A lot of things happen to my mind, so I can't joke.
LSF is gone. Reposo having 12 months.
And some residents taking in neighbors from other floors as they awaited rescue.
I told her, you're not safe in your house. Come into my house. We went inside my bedroom because it was better.
This is a predominantly black and brown, predominantly immigrant, low-income rental property. A lot of people make a lot of money off of leaving this area and leaving these buildings in a state of disrepair. And instead of like actually fucking enforcing any kind of regulatory mechanism that the government is supposed to, those in positions of power do not give a fuck about these people. This is just how it is. They're slumlords. And they do not give a shit.
For us to breathe.
It was just all about help whoever you can help. It got to a point where it was just so much black smoke in the house, we could barely see each other.
Authorities revealing the cause of the fire was a space heater located on a third-floor apartment unit in the building.
The door to that apartment was left open. It did not close by itself. The smoke spread throughout the building.
And the investigation continues into that open door. In 2018, the city passing a law mandating self-closing doors in all apartment buildings. Still unclear whether those weren't installed here or whether they just didn't work. George.
Okay, Janae, thanks very much.
Well, hey. So yeah, apparently the fire alarm would just go off randomly, so no one believes the alarm. Yeah, no, I know. So there is no reason to fucking repair the building. There's no reason to also. There's no reason to make sure that people are adequately heated in the apartment that they pay rent for, because it's low income. It's low income renters, so it doesn't matter. Okay. That's just how it works. It's the unfortunate fucking reality of the situation. It's like, the poorer you are, the easier you are to exploit in the grossest ways possible, because you have no say, you have no value in the eyes of those who make these rules, these decisions. That's it. Profit is significantly more important. The closing of the door is actually good advice. Okay, it is actually good advice so that people don't get asphyxiated. Okay, because a lot of those people didn't die because they were lit on fire. They died because of the smoke. However, placing the emphasis on that is insane. Okay, there are then what's the reason? I mean, it's just like, why is there a government then? Well, there isn't, I guess.
Now to code.
The only reason why there's a government is so that they can just take away your tax dollars and turn it into subsidies for wealthy individuals, I guess. That's the only reason, right? It's preposterous to me that people operate this way. Anyway. Okay. Okay. That's what happens when your mayor is also, you know, your mayor's biggest supporters are people that own housing units like that, or quite literally own that specific housing unit, and he's on your transition team. So